Good evening, everyone.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I got up, so.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. No. Okay, welcome to our, we haven't had it in person in a while. While we've been gone, you'll see that McKinley funeral home has upgraded their technology. It's been a lot of fun getting it working, and so this is disclaimer right now, we might have to drive back and forth to make things work. My name is Colleen LeBay, and I'm part of the Kent Branch operating team. Thank you for joining us. We are recording tonight as a test, so that it's called a meeting now. Looks like he's got two little eyes looking at you. Is actually recording us. If it turns out well, we might put it on our channel, but we'll see. I'm optimistic that it will turn out okay. I think all of you you're gonna all listen to the same slides we normally go through. So let's first start with our land acknowledgement, and Bob Daly from the one of our branch members recorded this land acknowledgement for us. Go, Angela.
The land on which we gather, learn, and play is the traditional territory of the Athabascan, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Lenape, and Potawatomi peoples who have long-standing relationships to the land, water, and region of southwestern Ontario. The local First Nations of this area include Chippewa, the Thames First Nation, the Caldwell First Nation, Chippewa of Kettle and Stony Point, Oneida Nation of the Thames, the Delaware Nation and Moravian Town, the Munsee Delaware Nation, and Wapuu Island First Nation. Additionally, there is a growing urban indigenous population who make the cities of southwestern Ontario home. We value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations of Turtle Island.
Okay, thank you. So let's get started. For anyone joining us for the first time, let me tell you a little bit about Ontario Ancestors. Ontario Ancestors, also known as the Ontario Genealogical Society, is a nonprofit registered charity which was founded in 1961. It is the largest genealogical society in Canada with a mission to encourage, bring together, and assist those interested in the pursuit of family history and to preserve Ontario's genealogical heritage. Be sure to visit the website to learn more about the resources and support that are available to assist in your family history research. We are the Kent branch of the Ontario Genealogical Society, and we are one of over 30 branches and several special interest groups that are located all over Ontario. Our family history library is located on the second floor of the Chatham-Kent Public Library in Chatham. It holds over 45 years worth of historical and genealogical resources for Chatham-Kent. We're open to the public on Fridays and Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. and we try to accommodate other times by appointment. We always like to connect with people interested in genealogy and local history. You can connect with us at that email, and we can also join the Kent Branch Facebook group, which has over 850 people who are interested in genealogy in Kent County. And we also have a very comprehensive website with lots of resources for both our branch members as well as the general public. A couple of upcoming events that might be of interest to you. We do have a DNA user group that runs regularly. The next meeting is May 25th at the library, and it runs from 10 until 12, and all are welcome. And then actually next week, our neighboring branch, Essex branch, is having an online webinar, and they have Julia Anderson, who is a family search research specialist, and she's going to be talking about taking a new look at family search and online records. If you go to the Essex branch website, you can register, and it's free and open to all. And then our other neighboring branch, which is Lambton, they also have an upcoming webinar on Tuesday, so you get to pick one or the other. And their webinar is with Mark Olson from Family Tree Maker. So if you have the Family Tree Maker software, you might want to catch this one. So to talk about all the features and functions, and he's pretty good about answering questions. And if you are an OGS member, we have a pretty good discount on Family Tree Maker software if you're interested in it. And so next we'll on to tonight's presentation, and please ignore the co-hosted with the Wallsburg because I messed that up. I'm going to call upon Angela to go out and introduce our speakers for tonight.
Thank you. So I'd like to welcome Ian and his wife Lynn tonight. They sent me a little bio, so I'm gonna share that with you. Ian was born in London, England, with ancestors from Kent, Cornwall, and Wales. He immigrated to Canada in 1970, where he met Lynn while working at Kodak in the early 90s. Lynn was born in South Shore, Montreal, with ancestors east of Quebec City. They were married in 1994, and when Kodak downsized, they took the package and bought the Pet Value in Wallsburg. Their lives settled in southwestern Ontario until they decided to move up north to where their border terriers were bred in Powassan near North Bay. And after 3 years, they moved to Deep River to be closer to Montreal until the black flies, bears, wolves, and snow drove them back south to Chatham. They started doing Ancestry using Legacy 9.0 on the computer about 10 years ago and saw a reference to Findagrave in 2017. They did their first cemetery visit on Father's Day in Powassan, but there were not many opportunities in the north. So they decided to tackle the local cemeteries when they moved to Chatham and have since loaded 20,000 photos and created 11,500 memorials on the website. So welcome Ian and Lynn.
You can aim it this way at the, is it working? Hold on.
The other way? There we go.
There we are.
Perfect.
Okay.
They already mentioned we started about 10 years ago. No?
No, I know I would rather do this.
There's several sites out there that you can go to. You probably all know Ancestry, My Heritage, Find My Path, they're all sites.
Hold it closer. You can't do that.
Okay.
Put your mouth there.
Okay.
That's better.
They're all free trial, but they're paid subscription. Actually, I found out that Ancestry works well for North America. My Heritage works well for Europe. Find My Past is here and there. We found the family of the Mormons is the best choice of anything. One, it's free. Secondly, it's far more encompassing than any of the others. They cover the whole world, basically. Everything you can watch pretty much goes on family search. We tried to go in and update it online like most people do, but then we found that was really time consuming. Plus, there's no security on knowing you've got it. The subscription runs out, you've lost everything. So we decided to get our software on the computer itself. So we went with Legacy 9.0, which we found has been very, very good. You're a little ahead of me. Okay. Second, when we were in there, we went to Family Search to retrieve some records. We found a reference to Findagrave, which is how we sort of came across it. We didn't know what it was. We had a look and we found out what they do is they record the memorials in cemeteries. Memorials can be put out there by the church, can be put out there by the funeral home, can be put out by independent individuals. There's no need, no necessity for it to go anywhere other than the government records. So what happens is Findagrave has got a very extensive record. They've got something like 2 billion records out there of grave sites across the world. And we're going through the ones locally that we've been doing. we find a lot are not there or they're incomplete. You can update them, which is the real nice thing. So you can actually add to the history that's out there as well as retrieve information for your own use. This is an example, basically, of the family search, what it will show you, and it goes, and you can load your family tree up. There's a thing called a GEDCOM, which you, from Legacy 9.0, I can upload a GEDCOM, which takes my whole file. I can then load that up to any one of the websites, and it'll keep it up there. Then I can use the website's capabilities to do various things, such as produce family trees and so on. We created a separate email for Findagrave so that people contacted us for information or to find things or to ask for photos. We don't get lost in all our own emails. It just goes to one particular email. When we got down to Chatham, we said, okay, we'll tackle the small cemeteries first and see where we go from there. So we have covered most of the small ones we've done, such as the Stewart one out in Merlin. We've done Merlin, we've done Stewart, which is near Merlin. We've done Pardoville and some of the ones on the lakeshore. We just completed Blenheim a couple of weeks ago. We had started Dresden before that, and now Blenheim's done. We're back into Dresden again. I was there yesterday on Wednesday. We're probably about 2/3 of the way through Dresden, and then after that, Wallaceburg, Chatham, I don't know. Chatham's awful big. We would like to record Walpole because there are photo requests, believe it or not. Just backtrack a minute. On Findagrave, you can go out there if there's a particular memorial you want to see that isn't there. You can request a photo, and one of the volunteers will try and find it for you. Walpole has several photo requests out there, so I'm trying to get hold of somebody at the island to get permission to go out and photograph the cemetery. I can do it in a day. And the same for Moravian Town. Moravian Town is very small, but again, it's only 10% photographed. So the Native Americans, they believe in the history. So we feel that this will help add to their history in doing this. Just going to get permission to go there. Sorry?
Now, can we go to the next one? Like, I don't know.
Number 4. Okay, that's it. That's the historical records for on family tree.
There's your Findagrave.
Okay, yeah. What happens with Findagrave? That's good. Yes, okay. The photo requests, which you see on the other one, the numbers of photo requests are out there. You choose what cemeteries you want to volunteer for. It will then show you what photo requests are out there for those cemeteries. So we started, go to number 5 now. We started a photo request to say, okay, we'll go there and we'll look for them. Talk about the needle in a haystack. It was taking us so long walking stone after stone after stone, looking for certain names and certain dates. We thought, it's got to be a better way to do this. So then we said, okay, we'll take a letter of the alphabet, maybe take 4 letters of the alphabet, just look for those. That was bad out there, it wasn't much better. So then we said, okay, why don't we just photograph everything? Sure, some of it's going to be out there already. Big deal. We digital, thankfully. You don't have to pay for the film. So this is what we do now. We go through, we literally go row by row through the whole cemetery, photograph everything. If it takes, say 2 hours to take some photos, probably takes me close to a part of 2 days on and off to load them up into the system. Because there's a whole variety of things involved here. And actually, if you ever go out doing this, don't be misled. 7,000, that's an updated figure. That was originally about 6,000. It's up to almost 8,000 now. Because I've added memorials because I found ones that aren't there. So you head up with a start, we're only 69% as of this morning done on Dresden. But there's about 500 to 600 more memorials out there than there were when we started. So it's an ongoing thing with basically with every end. What,
Number four, let's go back to number four.
yeah, skip forward a couple. That's the, okay, this is legacy. The first part of this presentation, which should be legacy 9.0, because that's what we use. This is a screenshot of basically my index of a number of different ways you can look at, you can see from across the top, there's a whole raft of different ways you can look at this. This one is good for finding duplicates, because you will sort them out and then go through and see if you've got matches. There is an automatic thing for merge, and under the merge up here, you can do an automatic merge and it'll look for duplicates. You can also do a manual where you find them where names are not quite the same, but you prove that they are really the same person. The next one. You can do the normal family tree one. Now, some of the things we've looked at here, and some of the problems that you have is the name spelling, and also the names that inherited from time to time, because names change. In the Quebec, which of course means on both, this is where a name is actually changed. It is, the surname is going from one name to another name, and this happens, and it happens a lot. So when you're following the history through, you've got to be very careful. Go to the next one. It's the next one, the Welsh one. Now that's another one of the French one. That's very similar to the other.
Two shots of bells, like two people with the same.
Yeah, go on to the next one.
Oh. There.
Okay, the Welsh is real fun. The app and the Welsh, that's the male, that's the female, is basically daughter of this one. So the name changes, every generation, the surname changes. So heaven help you if you miss a generation, because you'll never find it. So you've got to be so very, very careful as to what's going on. And I've seen a lot of cases where people actually miss generations. And it looks as though it was right, but then something doesn't feel right. So let's go to the next one. And another case, this is the French, it's where we get a whole variety of contexts and names. And again, the van, which is basically Dutch mostly. You also get translations of names over time. This is William, as we know it now. And that will chop and change. You'll find in one generation it shows as Willem, next one it shows as William. It goes backwards and forwards. So it's very, very time consuming to make sure you get the right answer. And I don't think I'll ever have a complete session. It just grows and grows, and then I find problems and I have to go back and change things, and it just goes on and on.
All the same.
Yeah, this one becomes real fun, particularly if somebody is watching what they're doing. Father, son, grandfather, all the same name. Really helpful when you're looking back 400 years. Because what happens is, if you're not careful, people will jump from this one to that one over there.
Father will be married to the grandfather.
And yeah, you'll have wrong people married to the wrong person, and things get missing. And you can eventually find it, and that's where a lot of the websites will help. And again, I found a lot of things on the websites that are incorrect, because people have put them out there, and one thing you can do, and Legacy 9.0 will let you do it, I did it once and I'll never do it again. It links to Family Search. It's got an automated link to the Family Search that you can use if you want to. So I can tell it, go out and find that person's ancestry, and it will download the whole ancestry for that one person onto my system. That's okay, if it's all right. If anybody's got areas in there, now you've just filled up your system with all sorts of problems. And I did once. It took a long time to figure it out and get it straightened out. So be very careful on some of these things. Okay, you will all find, if you look back far enough, you have royalty, you have, basically influential people, all sorts of things in your background, if you dig far enough. This is William the Conqueror. We both have him in our background. That works because the Normans were descended from the Vikings. The Normans then came over to England, but the Normans were also in France. So Lee's background's from France, mine's from England. They were connected somewhere down the line.
You missed somebody on this stage. You missed, Charles, is Charles there? No.
No, Charlemagne's on a different one.
You're on here.
Okay. An interesting thing we had with the Fil de Roi, and I will backtrack a little bit in a minute. But it has over 50 Fil de Rois in her background. And also, I think we found about 30 some odd Fil de Roi. I can't pronounce Mary. And the basic difference was these were sent over by Louis, usually with a dowry.
Yeah.
Yeah. The others went over on their own accord. Same reason, same purpose, within about 20 years of one another. But, and there's about 730, 740 of them. And they've been very, very well documented. So if you hit on any of those, yeah, you can find all sorts of information about.
I've never counted them. Yeah.
You also will find, if you go digging far enough, and this is where having it on their own computer helps, you can go back an awful long way. If you go back anywhere in your background to the Catholic line, it's much better than the Anglican, believe me. I have one side of my family that I can only go 3 generations on.
Really?
Because the records were kept in the churches by individuals. They got lost or whatever, can't find it. Don't play the world.
Where's my side?
Lynn's side going back into France. She goes back to the year 26, believe it or not,
Oh, I think about that.
which is, so I still can't come to grips with that. But, that's because in between the 750, 800, she goes to Charlemagne. And because she goes back to Charlemagne, who's so well documented and had such an impressive background, it just grows from there. It just goes and goes and goes. So that's where, when you do hit aristocracy or royalty, then it really helps because they've been documented and then you can get that information and you can build your history. Okay. WikiTree, we update our JCOMs to WikiTree. We don't, Lynn's updated about 10 generations on it. I can't be updating it in 3 or 4 different places, it's just too much work. But where we've got it, they send us each week, they send us a relation email. And it tells you who you can be related to and how many degrees you are from these. Not direct relationship, you'll go through sisters and daughters and so on. 1 week we got it, it came back, we got Napoleon. What's the next one? Horatio Nelson. They go on in Lord Wellington. Arthur Wellesley, who's the Duke of Wellington. So we decided we should go to war. So it's interesting. It's not, you know, it's not a true background, but it's a different spin on things that does kind of interesting. Okay. When we get into Findagrave, one of the first things you'll see there when you go to look is it will pinpoint the cemeteries in your area. As you can see, we've got quite a few in the area. A little misleading in that some of them are no more than maybe 3 or 4 memorials. There's 2 or 3 in Chatham that are actually buried on the buildings. And it shows you here, and if you follow up on it, you find that, oh, they're in the ground somewhere and they built on top of it. There are others like those one along the river that the stone poured in a line. Because at some point in time, the river overflowed its banks and the monuments just went off into the river. So they restored the stones, put the stones there to show that these people were actually buried here. They're not there anymore, who knows where they may be, but that's where they were originally buried. There are private ones. We went to one just north of Grand Point, Campbell. I think it was Campbell. It is a private cemetery. There's only about 20 or 30 stones in it. We called them and spoke to them and asked them, can we go up and take the pictures, put it on the site? No problem. We went out and took the photos and then put it on the site. Similar to what we want to do with the 2 native ones. Just ask them permission. If they give us permission, we'll happily go and do it. It just adds to the information. Yeah. When you choose individual, this was taken for one particular cemetery, and I want to look up one particular person. And this is what it shows you when you go out there. It'll have a photo if there is one. It'll have documents if there are documents out there. It'll have the connections to the family. It will have the plot number if it's known. It may not be on this site. Obviously, it is known by the people in the cemetery that's right here. And every memorial has an ID, and this is how it connects to these numbers. You can see by the number, there's what, 261,000?
Whatever.
261 million at that point in time and growing.
General photos.
Yes, when you, this is a stone that's put up. I don't know if the forces actually put it up or whether the forces pay for it or how it works. But we've seen a number of veterans, and this is the style of memorial that they have. And they may or may not also have another memorial stone similar close by it, where maybe the wife or the son and so on, and their name is on that as well. But that is the one that's designated by the forces. And you can show them as a matter of honor that they are veterans. And you can put their titles also in the bio. Yeah. This one happens to be in French, but that's basically tells us where he served. And often it will tell you which war they served in. In some cases, it is a memorial in that the person died overseas. And it will probably tell you in the bio that yes, they did die overseas, they were buried overseas, and this is a memorial to them. The cemeteries themselves, at the beginning of the cemetery on Findagrave, it has a part for the cemetery itself, and that's where you can put things like this up. We also put up, if they have particular memorials, some of them have very fancy memorials at the entrance ways. We take photos of those and put them up there too. This indicates the cemetery and was governed to the whole cemetery, not just the individuals.
That's what they did Gosnel.
Yeah. These are the photo requests. They're out there in the system and you can download them. You can say, okay, I'm claiming a particular one. We don't do that anymore because we just photograph everything. What happens is if you do put a claim on them, it holds it for 14 days, and I guess that's if you're in an area where there's a lot of people doing these photographs, it stops everybody trying to do the same one. You can download those into a spreadsheet, which is really handy when we were doing this, because then you can walk around the cemetery with the spreadsheet, so you know exactly what you're looking for. It's very easy to work with. This one, Dresden? Yeah, that's Dresden. Some of the cemeteries have specific areas for the memorials for the veterans. This one's Dresden. Wallaceburg has one as well. Is it not the next picture? Yes, that's the Wallaceburg one. Some of the others don't. They will have the stones in and amongst anything else where the family is buried and so on. An interesting one we found in Blenheim, not for veterans, but for the Capuchins. I didn't realize until I went around that cemetery that we had a basic Capuchin monastery in the area and a big history as well, because we found a couple of large memorials to the Brotherhood and then individual stones of people that have been buried there.
Monks.
Yes, some are as brothers, some are as reverends, because some did go into churches and preach. So that was quite interesting. Those we all recorded, those are all out there now. When you get to taking these stones, there's a remarkable number of different things that people have come up with. These two are both in Quebec. This very stylized. These are amazing. They're a horrible nightmare to photograph. The cameras thankfully can get it around the corners, but sometimes, you know, you're walking around and around and around, I think, taking these pictures. This one's very clear, very easy to read. As they start to wear, then it becomes a real issue. Some are very basic, such as this. Some are very stylized, such as the one next to it. And I've seen more of those down in this area too. There are a few, not that many nowadays, but there are a few with the book. Sometimes the book is on the ground. Sometimes there's a stone and the book is on the top of the stone. Unfortunately, because of the make of this, which is, I don't know, it's a chalk-like substance. It weathers. And if you don't get it at a very early stage, you don't get it at all because it just disappears. Yeah, they started to do, a lot of times in Quebec, they do this. They do it around here too, but not as much, where the person actually has their name on the stone prior to being deceased. Obviously, the intention is they bought the plot, they're gonna be there, that's where they're gonna be buried. That part's in there, the rest will follow at that point in time. The ones in the ground can be a nightmare. Dresden, we found the guys go through cutting the grass, they can't help it, but shades of grass go everywhere. And over a while, the grass grows in around the actual monument itself, or you'll get all sorts of grass clippings all over the place. At times you feel like gardeners there, which I'm cleaning off the garden clippings to try and get the photograph and get what you can. If the memorial's been recorded, you can usually get enough that you can match it up to something that's been recorded. If it's not been recorded, Findagrave will let you put it out there with what information you have. And hopefully somewhere along the line, somebody will either look at it and say, oh yeah, that's my relative, fill in the missing information. That's all you can do. You can just try. These are very, very common stones, particularly in Quebec. Basically the plain white stone. these have been done very well. These I think have been redone. Yes, I know there's a doctor in this area that actually refurbishes stones. I think somebody up there probably does something similar, maybe only for their family, but at least in some cases. So they've embellished this because I'm sure this would disappear at one point. These is wood. It hasn't got a hope of surviving. It probably was all that could be afforded at the time. And it was best that could be done at the time. But we've found a few of them, not many, maybe half a dozen at most. Stones like this are very common. And boy, you can tell which way the wind blows. You go on one side of the stone, it's beautiful. Go on the other side of the stone, you can't see a thing. So just weather. Simple. These we found out, they're a great change. You gotta look, you can have things down here, you can have there, it's on all four sides. There can be a whole family history on there. These are in Quebec. I haven't seen any yet in Ontario where the vault is an above ground vault, basically a building. These photos were not taken by us. These were taken by an historian that we got in contact with, who lives up in the eastern townships, east of Quebec. And she was a historian there. She had a person take all the photos in the St. George and in the Bethel cemeteries. Well, so that's 7,000 or this, 8,000. So we said, well, send them down to us, we'll put them on Findagrave, because there wasn't anything on Findagrave for those two cemeteries. We did, we spent weeks loading them up. They're all there now. So we haven't been to this cemetery since we started doing this. So I don't know if you can actually go in and see the vaults inside. You may or may not. I don't know. This one obviously is another case where there's parts of the family. Oh, okay, yes. The spouse and the second spouse. That happens, I've never seen that yet in Ontario. It happens in Quebec, and we've seen it quite a few times in Quebec. I have seen cases where two spouses were buried in the same stone here in Quebec. I actually saw one in Dresden just recently. But it wasn't set up like that. I only found that out by looking up the history on Findagrave and found out, yes, they were both married. It didn't say it right up front. Yes, I haven't seen too many of these, but you do see tragedy. In Quebec, if they die accidentally, it tells you. And in some cases, you will see when, within 2 days of one another, there obviously was an accident, it's a fire or a traffic accident or whatever. So it's very sad. You see, you can feel what the family went through. I think we saw one that had 4 different members of the family died the same day. Obviously, probably a fire. Again, the stylized design have flowers in it, I know what's going on. This one again is in Quebec, where these are the stones for the fathers that actually were preaching at that church. That's the church up there in the corner there, that's St. George. They lie there as at the time when they died, they buried them side by side. They're not all there, but 4 of them are. This is another one, same church. It was actually buried in a crypt inside the church. Again, the veteran stones, this is case of in Quebec, similar idea. They're not right on the ground that they are in Ontario, they're plinth underneath, but similar idea. died in Germany.
Yeah, that's Scottish, and this is Germany, so I wonder if he's in Germany.
Yeah, he served with the Essex Scottish Regiment, but he died in Germany, so this is actually a memorial, not an actual grave site. And you can indicate that on Findagrave, you can indicate if it is a memorial or if it is an actual gravestone. Very much, people get really into this. Obviously, this person, we know he played baseball. He either was a train driver or he liked the trains, something connected. And we're gonna go through a series here. We're gonna under. These are cases where the guitar, flowers, maybe a florist. Also, the actual pictures, which are, they're actually, they're not engraved, but they're actually pictures there and they're colored, so they are protected from the weather. So they last for a long, long time. Car enthusiast, somebody who stayed at home, sorry. Actually, she was still alive.
Oh, yes.
And still
I bet
selling.
they do that. Personally, I don't see myself having my name up there waiting for me.
I won't do it to you.
Yeah. That's a very nice regard, the engraving in the middle, beautiful.
Farmer.
That's in Merlin, I recognize that fence. There's quite a few of these in Dresden, where it's like a seat that you can almost like sit down and worn out. I don't know if that was the idea, to rest a moment for the family, they could rest a moment there, you know, think of the past. There's obviously a reasoning behind it. This one,
Oh, flag of countries where they were from.
I don't know who recognizes the flag, I'm not.
Italy.
Italy.
Italy? Okay. They're showing their relationship there,
Oh, look at this one, covered.
this one amazes me, because I look at this and I think, well, they're Oriental. There isn't a single person in that family that's buried there that's got an Oriental name other than a surname. So I don't know where that all came about. It's gotta be so many years back that they long since lost it, because all their Christian names are, really English as you can think of.
Well, still.
This one, yeah, it's almost like they've done a rock face.
I wonder if he had drawn that picture.
Maybe, because the tall one, there's 2 or 3 of them, they're all very colorful like that.
Oh,
They're also, of its connections, this one, Dresden?
yes, I think it's.
Dresden.
Is it Glenn? Yeah. Glenn?
Glenn?
Sure.
I know it's recent, I know it's so recent.
Oh,
I see it every time we went to Atlanta.
yeah, okay. Yeah,
This one's interesting, building blocks. Yeah, so it is a child, there's gotta be a connection there. There's quite a few with animals. They like it by the lake. Yeah. Some of the times, if you go there, like, there is a particular day in Berlin where they go around and they put flowers up. You have to hit it within a week or so of then, you get an amazing number of different things around the stones. But obviously with the weather, they don't last. Some cemeteries allow people to plant plants, others don't, it's forbidden. I saw some in Dresden, I wish I hadn't put the plants in, I can't see who's buried there. The bushes, the shrubs are so big now and so thick, you can't, you know the stone's there, you haven't got a hope of reading it. Back to the
And forget what she's doing. Bingo card. The bingo card, I think your last.
Oh, yes, yes, that's right, that's, the bingo on it.
I think that's fishing over there, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Scenery again.
Yeah, so,
And then children.
yeah, again, there's been a few of these, not a lot. Well, obviously the kids have gone around and they've made their own little things to be respectful there.
And then look at the scenery in the back. Just gorgeous. That's. Ground cubes.
Yeah, so, obviously, retired their license plate at the same time.
Yeah, it's a
See, that
bit.
surprises me, because that one, the wife has died, the husband hasn't, you'd think the license plate was probably his.
Yeah, sir, but she's.
Maybe not.
Cheese spike.
She's like. Seems like.
Oh, yeah, okay, so she's the one with the car, yeah.
And then what else have you seen at, you've seen beer cans, coffee cups.
Oh, yeah, there's a number of different things, I saw a few more this week, versus like, there's been Coke cups, there's been Tim Hortons cups, there's been beer cans, and you can see that they've been left there by members of the family. It's not somebody just walked around and dropped one down there, they've been placed there because they meant something. That's about it, yeah. No, I don't know. Has anybody done this sort of thing? 20 degree? So, I don't know if anybody's done this on their own photographs, no, it's something we've always been avid photographers, so it was easy to do. The subject doesn't move, so it's a lot easier than bird photography, believe me. So, yeah, it's something that we feel that it's helping others. People will gain things. Also, there is the definite connection, I haven't. Will, with that next week when the family search person's out there, I'm gonna ask them, are you run by the same people as Findagrave? Because you put something out in Findagrave, within 2 or 3 days, it's out of family search. They're both based in Utah. I've got to believe they're both run by the Mormons. In which case there's a definite connection. So that means from our point of view, when we take these photos, we're adding history probably to family search just by doing that. So that's another plus. So,
Emails we can get from you.
sorry?
Emails.
Oh, yes, when you get these photos that they requested, when the photo is taken and put in there, an email goes to the person that requested it. And we've had a lot of emails come back from people thanking us for maybe we are waiting sometimes for years for these photos and they've got them. We have one lady who goes under the name of DK Lock on the system, that's what she said, and I said,
Diane.
she's Diane, she lived in Chatham. She's now out west. But a lot of her history is here, so she has an awful lot of requests around here. We've been getting a lot of her requests. So we have constant conversations going back through emails. You know, I found this one, I found that one, got another one that might be related. And it becomes sort of an extended family. It's really interesting. It's part of ancestry, it's part of your genealogy. I'd like to think it's, some people will find some of ours over there in Europe. Actually, we did actually go through, I was going through the legacy side of it. And when I started hitting Lynn's background around the 1000 point, I started hitting a lot of people that were in sort of partly religious, partly ruling in France. So I thought, I saw one at Findagrave reference, so I jumped over to Findagrave looking up these names. I found a number of different vaults in churches that still exist, but there are photographs out there. These people died over 1,000 years ago. But the pictures are still there. And the start, the actual vault is still there. So, and actually we saw, I don't know if any of you see the show called Time Team. It's a British show that they go, it's archaeologists, and they go around digging for remains over there. They have found churches where they've actually found the vaults underground, where they dug them up and found them, and actually been able to identify not necessarily exactly who it was, but no, it was a member of the church that was buried there. And I think that's how they found one of the Richards, so a few years back.
The parking lot.
So they found he was buried there, so. There's all sorts of things get involved in this. It's interesting.
Very, very interesting. Thank you. I have a great story of, you talked about having your name on a stone before you were gone, so it was definitely a done thing. My grandparents and my parents both have their names already on stones. My grandmother remarried after having been a widow for 20 years. She liked her second husband better than her first husband. And so they opted to be cremated and buried in her parents' plot. And we're like, so what do we put here? Like, your name is here. Do we put like an Arrow C. Parker over here? And now there's a perfectly good plot there that nobody's using.
Makes sense, because I do remember one that I saw, and I found that person on two different stones in two different parts of the cemetery. And that's probably what happened, that their name was on one, and then they married somebody else and got buried in the other one. That sort of makes sense.
There's a story in the newspaper, this is local up in Wallsburg, that the guy was terminal, and that he wanted to have his funeral while he's still alive. So he did. He had this whole big party and he had stone made. He didn't die. He lived another year, but he had this, you put the year.
We live longer than.
He lived longer than expected. That was in January.
Like you said, Colleen, there's a comedian that I absolutely love. You gotta watch him if you like his stand-up. That's not filthy. His name is Sebastian Maniscalco. And he has a bit about, because his mother-in-law remarried many years after the first husband died. And he went to the cemetery with his wife, to see her dad. And the way his brain works, he was wondering who was going in to that other plot, because she was supposed to go in there. And that was his question, is she going in here with the new guy? And if nobody, this is paid for, we could put skis in there for the, we should be using it, it's paid for.
Anyway, it's funny.
Do you find there's any time of day it's better to take photos during, or is it's when you're there, you're there?
First thing in the morning.
Yeah, in the normal weather, like about a month from now, you've got to go before 10. It's gonna get too hot hours. The thing I found in the last couple of trips, in the last couple of weeks, the sun is so low in the sky, it's a bit of a challenge. Not because of the camera's fine, I can handle it. The trouble is you've got the shadow in the way. So now you're taking photos like this.
Yeah, because you don't want.
Other things are trying to stop the shadow from being on the stone. So it's doable, but there's a lot of jigging around. So that's the issue with that. When these photos, when I load them as well, when you come back, the photos are all sorts of quality, right? Depending on what the site, the light was, the shadow and everything else. I use Photoshop. So all my photos I put into Photoshop. I crop them to get the biggest picture of the memorial I can get. And I can enhance them light and so on. So by the time I get them out there onto the site, they're as good as I can make them. And obviously, in some cases, the stone is so worn, you get what you get. But if I can make them better, I make them better. So, at least people can read them. I know when they go out there, you can read them. If I've got a stone I can't read, I don't put it up. I don't know who it is. Obviously, I don't put it up. But, unfortunately, there's quite a lot of those. So we're 69% Dresden now. Well, maybe got about a quarter of the site to go. If any of you know Dresden Cemetery, the main section is on the level. When you get to the end of the main section, then it goes down in the dip and up by the river. That's where we're at. We're right on the edge of the ridge. Our next trip, we're down in the dip. No idea what I'm gonna find out there. It could be I'm gonna see hardly anything that I can read. I'm already 69% photographed now.
Well, that's not good.
So, yeah, I don't know how much more we're gonna get, to be honest.
You did Pardoville?
Sorry?
Have you done Pardoville?
Yeah.
Well, there's a stone there that's not accurate. It's a double Russell family.
Right.
I think it's Nelson and Beulah and Ray and Camille, I believe. They bought lots of stone together and had all 4 names put on it. So Uncle Nelson and Aunt Beulah went first, I think. And then when Uncle Ray died, Aunt Camille says, I don't want to be buried in that cemetery. We should bury them in Windsor. So they're both buried in Windsor. They're not even in that plot. Oh, my goodness.
Do they appear in the picture, do they picture in the stone? Do they appear in the picture of the stone?
I don't.
Oh, I'll look at Russell, won't I?
Yeah, there are a lot of Russells there.
Because what we don't know, I mean, if they're there, they've engraved
Yeah,
the
that's
names
great.
on the stones.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't believe they might be there, right?
Exactly.
We get date differences too. I mean, I had one today that I was loading up. The website said that the person died in 1930. The stone said he died in 1937.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to go with the stone because the person engraved it around about the time the person died.
Unless,
1930 is probably history.
unless it was done years later.
Right?
If it was done at the time, then the product would be accurate. But if it's stone was put up later, like years later, sometimes,
Could do that, yeah.
then they can make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, you don't only,
If you see a name, Russell, Ray and Camille, they're not there. Okay.
And there's a perfectly good plot there for someone to use.
My mother isn't there either.
Okay.
Mom Stone is there, and so is my sister Rose, but they're not there.
Ah, are
And
their
yes,
names
Nels-
on,
that-
they have their
Nelson-
names on the stone?
Oh, yeah, they were there with my grandparents.
First,
And, well, with my grandparents on my dad's side, his mother is buried in Ridgetown. And her birth year, her death year her birth year is wrong on it. And, I have to get that corrected. I don't know how that happened, but, because we had to dig, we finally found all that.
yeah, that's the thing, you don't know who gives the information to the person doing it.
Yeah, and whoever
Said
did
it
the
must be years
stone,
later.
it was wrong.
So, we'll look at Russell. It's out of curiosity. Normally, if they're not there, there's something in the bio to say that. It
Yeah.
says, like with the ones that were died overseas. And then actually say you died in Germany. I got some that are in Arlington Memorial. And it says that, so you know this is a memorial to the person. They're not actually there, and that's in the bio. They're not, sorry, not in part of the.
Thank you very much for doing the presentation. It was lovely to have you here.
And if anybody wants a little snacks, there's some snacks up here.